Well, Thor Equities CEO Joe Sitt has investments around the world, from retail properties on Fifth Avenue, right here in Manhattan, to prime retail buildings in Mexico City. In fact, he's going to start a new hotel and resort in Mexico. But now he is betting big on somewhere more local, Brooklyn. To find out why, we had him walk us around the neighborhood where he just made a big deal.
I've always been in love with Brooklyn, New York. From a real estate perspective, this is where it all began. I've had my eye on the corner of Atlantic and Smith for about 12 years. These two streets and the convergence of them is ground zero, center of the universe for all the activity that's happening in downtown Brooklyn. There's two common themes that we look for. We either look on the one end for exciting places that people as global tourists want to come to visit, or neighborhoods that we think are up and coming. We think Brooklyn will be way more the disproportionate beneficiary of the tech industry than almost any market in the world. The property actually went into bankruptcy. In bankruptcy court, you needed to come up with a $5+ million check and write that check instantaneously. And so we did it, and that's how we became this proud owner of this great property. It's like a homecoming. We're big believers, and we intend to invest more and more again and again in our hometown right here in Brooklyn.
Gotta love Brooklyn. Well, for more, I'm joined now by Thor Equities CEO Joe Sitt. You're natural there hosting.
I don't know about that. Just watching you. You're the pro.
Giving us a tour. Okay, so that area, Atlantic and Smith, you mentioned tech. You mentioned retail hub. What exactly do you want to do with that area?
Well, first of all, it's what's happening around it. I can't take all the credit for it. I'm just participating.
Sure.
Technology industry, as we know, is booming, and Brooklyn, really, the Brooklyn Triangle, as we call it, has become New York's home for it. We talk about it here in Manhattan, but it's even more so in Brooklyn.
Why? How?
Young, exciting folks, whether it's people from the tech industry, even from San Francisco, to folks that are in creative industries like media and even art industry, they want something that's exciting, new, and fresh, and that's the way they look at Brooklyn. So you've got everybody from tech industry executives in San Francisco and Silicon Valley relocating to Brooklyn, all the way to folks like artists. Matthew Day Jackson, one of the big artists I saw at Art Basel, telling me how he relocated from Portland, Washington to live in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. It's the place. It's exciting. It's special. It's still affordable.
But Joe, I mean, there's going to be downsides, though, to it, right? To locate your business in Brooklyn, more difficulty in getting to any of the three major airports. If you're meeting with people or businesses that are going to be in Manhattan, I mean, there's infrastructure issues as well in Brooklyn.
I ask that often to tenants and some of the residents there, and they say it's all worth it. They say that when they want to feel like they live in New York City, but they also want that separation. And they feel like in a place like Brooklyn, they've got it all in terms of their weekend lifestyle. Exciting restaurants. I mean, as an example, we go to the Nets Stadium, Barclays Stadium, and we always see Jay-Z there. And what do we always talk about right afterwards? The fact that what time you go into Lucali Pizza. And it's not just him that's there. We'll go to Lucali Pizza afterwards, and you actually have people reverse commuting. People from the art community, business community, wanting to go to Brooklyn Fair, Wild Ginger.
Okay. So, well, it all sounds like fun, but you're plowing money into Brooklyn. So I think you're breaking ground, is that right, on a 200,000 square foot property. You're going to build a BJ's on that, right?
We're actually breaking ground in about 2 hours right after this.
Okay.
On right by the Verrazano Bridge on Short Parkway, not far from Coney Island. We'll be breaking ground on a 200,000 square foot project that we're excited. That one is the other extreme of good services for the neighborhood. It's bringing a BJ's Wholesale Club to Brooklyn, which also is needed, all the basic services.
Joe, how are your properties doing that were hit by the hurricane? Your properties in Red Hook and Coney Island, how are they doing?
Well, it's a combination. We survived the storm, but it's still scary. We had flooding in Brooklyn, we had flooding in Red Hook and Coney Island project. We had 88 Greenwich Street in Lower Manhattan, 460-unit condo, and retail totally shut down, still shut down.
But how far are you from rebuilding those back to normal?
We're still in the process. We still have weeks to go, but really we need long-term solutions. That's the answer. My thing, I'm a little extreme. It's everything from protecting the electricity barriers, raising them from 12 foot to 14 foot to, I know it sounds crazy, but if I was the government, I'd invest $15 billion in putting a barrier wall from New York City all the way to Long Island. London does it with the Thames. Shanghai does it. St. Petersburg does it. Argentina does it through drainage tunnels. Every major metropolitan city that has these issues has
I think it would be
better
impossible
protection.
to get through, but I can see where I can see how you're saying that would make sense. However, I want to just make sure I get a question in about what you're doing nationally, though. So, are you looking? What markets are you looking at? Are you looking at markets you're following, tech businesses, or are those the markets that you're investing in?
We've been consistent threefold. One is tourist markets in the United States. We think that the emerging market consumer is going to continue to have success. We think it's going to move from the BRICS to the next level. The MIST, as some people call it, Mexico, Indonesia, South Korea, Turkey, and that's going to create more and more travelers.
What do they call it? They call it MIST?
MIST, M-I-S-T.
Oh, MIST, okay.
So we think they're going to disproportionately help make businesses and tourism in the global gateway cities in America like San Francisco, Chicago, Miami. And two is the tech industry, of course. Big believers have been a long time. Three is energy markets. America's coming back. I think we're going to beat Saudi Arabia and the Middle East one day in terms of oil.
Energy independence, yeah.
Exactly. And then last and certainly not least, we've been active in investing in emerging market countries like Latin America, where we are excited. We don't think the slowdown's going to happen in Latin America.
Yeah.
Mexico, Colombia, etc. And so we're excited.
All right. You sound like a busy man. Joe, as always. Joe, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Joe Sitt of Thor Equities on his investments in Brooklyn. Still ahead, we talked to the man behind Kim Kardashian's shoe company, Shoe Dazzle, about the power